We can all agree that hockey is a difficult sport and is not for the faint of heart. It takes many skills to push around a 3-inch piece of vulcanized rubber around with a stick all while skating on ice. But we are going to break down only one of the skills known as the slap shot. The slap shot is one of the deadliest shots in a hockey game, with having the ability to travel at over 100 miles per hour. The purpose of the slap shot is to create a scoring opportunity for the shooter's team if they are able to beat the goalie. There are 6 mechanical phases behind a slap shot, and they are the backswing, downswing, preloading, loading, release, and follow-through. The first phase is the backswing. You want to create as much power as possible, but be accurate enough to score. Unlike a golf swing where you are reaching behind you, the player preparing for the shot draws their stick overhead by raising their posterior arm and rotate both their trunk and hips to raise the blade of their stick as high as possible. The further the stick is drawn, the greater velocity the shot will have. Next is the downswing. This is the motion of swinging down the hockey stick towards the puck. Rotational velocity is then created in this phase of the slap shot. Rotational velocity is also known as angular velocity, which is the rate of change of angular displacement. The formula for angular velocity is angular displacement divided by the change in time. The preloading phase is where the stick comes in contact with the ice before the stick contacts the puck. Many people do not know that players strike the ice first, but this action is where players are able to transfer rotational velocity gained in the downswing into rotational kinetic energy. Rotational kinetic energy is the kinetic energy due to the rotation of an object and is part of its total kinetic energy. The formula for rotational kinetic energy is half times rotational inertia times angular velocity squared. Loading phase is the bending of the hockey stick on the ice before the puck is shot. This is initiated by the ground reaction force and downward pressure of the bottom hand on the shaft of the hockey stick. The greater the amount of flex in a hockey stick, the more potential energy is built up and transferred into kinetic energy that allows the puck to take off into the net. Some important factors to consider during this phase are the amount of time the stick is in contact with the puck, increasing the final velocity, the contact time increasing by the amount of bending in the stick and the final moment of inertia, and the rotation of the torso, shoulders, biceps, and forearms in sequence helps transfer momentum from greater moments of inertia to lesser ones. There are times during the loading phase where a player may apply too much downward pressure and break their stick. This is due to shear stress, which is a transverse stress that acts parallel to the analysis plane as a result of forces acting parallel to this plane. This formula is the shear force divided by the cross-sectional area of the internal surface. The release phase is when all the potential energy stored in the stick due to the bending in the loading phase is transferred into the puck in the form of kinetic energy. The higher the rotational kinetic energy, the higher the angular velocity will be. If there is an increase of something on the left side of the equation, the right side also has to increase in order to balance the equation so there is no wasted energy. Finally, the follow-through is where the player finishes their shot by swinging the stick towards the target after the puck has left the blade of the hockey stick. If done correctly, the player should then be celebrating with their teammates because they have now scored from a successful slap shot. So in summary, the 6 phases of a slap shot are backswing, downswing, preloading, loading, release, and follow-through. For hockey players wanting to make the most of their slap shot, they should focus on the loading phase and the proper flex number in their stick to create the most potential energy to then create the kinetic energy needed to score a goal.